know that you are also doing things for the breast implant illness community.
Yes.
I think you just got done doing a film for, or your part in
Yes.
filming a documentary called Cyclicone.
Yes. I
Oh,
love that.
please, can you
I
can
love
you
that
elaborate a little
one. Love
bit on that?
that one. So, a South American, very famous actress. Her name is Angeli Muñeco. Beautiful, spirited woman. And she had breast implants from a young age. I think she said she was 16 or 17, which is very typical in the South American culture, according to her. I'm obviously not South American. I can't speak for her, but these are the stories that are part of the film. And it was not only ordinary, it was expected. And especially because she was an actress and that was, part of her job was to look a certain way like mine as a model. Ultimately, she had breast implant illness and she after that experience left the acting space to fully commit to this movie, to making this documentary. She and her husband and a couple other people are intimately involved. She's the main story. It's called Cyclicone. And then they have characters, they have other stories in it. Ironically, this project started a couple years ago. Ironically, when it was pretty much wrapped, almost done filming, I think they had already filmed all the characters. Somebody had said to her, you might want to call this woman named Christine Handy because she had breast cancer and breast implant illness. All the characters in your story, in your film, only had breast implant illness. And that's for sure, a different visual, right? I lost my implants and now I have a concave chest. People who have breast implants that did not have breast cancer have their own breasts. And so she called me up and she said, "Would you be willing to partake in this story?" And I said, "Yes." And it matters because, as an example, I was technically never diagnosed with breast implant illness. I don't know that that's, I don't know. I don't know. They never diagnosed me as that, but I had breast implant illness. What they kept saying was, you had a lot of chemo. Your brain is still foggy because, yeah, gosh, those years ago, that chemo, it kind of sticks around for a while. And I was like, gosh, it seemed like a long time ago. Oh yeah, that joint pain, that's probably from this particular chemo drug or this particular breast cancer drug. Yeah, I don't think so. It's so long. Yeah, that swelling in your area, that redness. Yeah, it's fine. We're just going to give you some antibiotics. It's going to go down and that tenderness, it's going to heal and I was like, "Okay." Again, thinking these are the doctors. I didn't go to
Mhm.
medical school. I probably should at this point. And ultimately, I was in and out of the hospital in 2020 during COVID, and ultimately, I developed a MRSA infection in that implant.
Mm.
And I literally almost died, and we had a major evacuation of that implant and my chest in an emergency situation. And the next day, I'll never forget, I woke up and I had like 5 physicians around me and they were double masked and I was alone because it was June of 2020. And they said, "We want to unveil, the wrapping and all the sutures. We want to take a look at it." And they said, "Do you want to see it?" And I said, I kind of batted away tears because I didn't want them to see me vulnerable. These people I would never see again in my life. And I said, "No, I don't want to see it until I'm home with somebody that loves me." And I mean, I remember that, they all had masks on. I remember seeing one of the doctors and I could tell that he was kind of wiping away tears. It was such a sad moment. But those types of moments where you unveil the catastrophe of a medical device that was not supposed to hurt me, maybe it was meant to and I didn't know it. Those are intimate moments. And they shouldn't be feared or alone or dismissed or you're told that you're not telling the truth or all these things that women are going through because they don't really classify it as they don't really think of it as that. It's a heartbreaking thing. And when things keep you up at night because they're heartbreaking, those are the things you should work on. And so when I think about being dismissed by doctors about my implants and I think about other women going through that, it keeps me up at night. So that means I have to work on that. I have to give people hope. I have to show people that they are not alone. And so that's why I'm working on that project.
Thank you so much. We need that. We need people to stand up for these women, and I talk to a lot of women every day that are going through the same thing. Either they're scared to explant, they're going through all the terrible symptoms, or they've explanted and they're still sick because they don't have any guidance. It's just heartbreaking because they're alone.
Yeah.
And their families are telling them you're supposed to be getting better. It's all in your head, or the doctor's saying there's no such thing. And I know that's why we're working really hard,
Yeah.
to get this march going for the ICD-11 code, because in that way, at least women can have a diagnosis,
Yes.
and medical professionals can, take care of them and at least give them some care. But until it's actually recognized as an actual illness, I don't think women are going to get the care that they need.
Or the
And
money.
that's yeah, exactly. And it's so difficult because a lot of women can't afford to explant. It
Right.
costs a lot of money,
Yeah.
more money to explant than it does to even put breast implants in.
Right.
So it's just a really difficult situation. And thank you for your advocacy, for speaking out. um, I know that you've gone through so much in your life, you've overcome all these terrible things against all odds, and going around inspiring others. And what would you tell women who are very sick and feel like they just can't keep going on? What would you tell them?
Well, I mean, there's so many things. I mean, I remember thinking that too. I was in that space, and you really need to find people. You need to have people in your life. This is more for people who have never gone through illness. You have to have people look around. And if you don't have people that will stand by you through a lot of stuff, find different people. But if you're in that space, then I would say reach out to people, ask for help. And a lot of us don't, because there's this stigma in society that women, oh, we can do everything and we don't need help. And, we're just, hear me roar. And well, that's all true, but we do need help. It's even biblical. It's, Jesus was never by himself. He was always in a community of people, and he always wanted to nurture those communities of people, regardless of who people were in society. And so if you get rid of that pride and that ego and just say to yourself, okay, you know what? I'm down to nothing. God's up to something. I need help. Then stand on that. Don't stand on this like, I should be able to get through this. I should be able to muscle it emotionally myself. You don't have to. You don't have to.
Thank you. That's beautiful. That's perfect. Perfect advice for us.
Well,
I
and
know that
listen,
I would not have gone through, or I wouldn't have gotten through without my angels, right? The people, my sisters. I have 6 younger sisters, and I would not have gotten through it without them. So,
well, the other
I
thing that
appreciate.
I think is so important is to give yourself grace. We so freely give grace to everybody in our life, especially as women. We don't give ourselves the grace we so often deserve before we give it to other people. So I think that that is an important reminder. Give yourself the grace to just acknowledge that you're going through some despair, you feel alone, you feel duress. It doesn't make you less than. It just makes you human. There's so many other people that feel that same way. And it's about stories and podcasts and interviews like this where you go, we have to be out here doing this for those people who are feeling that duress, because they shouldn't feel like they're alone. But we paint this picture in society that's just distorted.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It's very frustrating. It's hard going through that and then seeing other people go through that.
Yeah.
So, well, I wanted to, I guess, just talk a little bit about your nonprofit efforts. When is do you know when your movie's coming out, or any idea?
The movie Hello Beautiful is coming out, we believe, next fall. It's in a lot of other hands, and including, God. So that is the goal. Hello Beautiful is also a fictional depiction of my life. And again, it's predicated on the fact that when I was searching out media, when I was going through breast cancer, big Hollywood films came out, right? Like, didn't come out then, but I watched them. Steel Magnolias, which deals with illness, and Philadelphia, which deals with illness, and Terms of Endearment, and Stepmother, and the list goes on and on. And although those are really brilliant and beautiful stories, they all end in a funeral. And I had righteous anger about that. I thought, man, if I can get my film made somehow, some way, maybe I can, if somebody's seeking out a movie about breast cancer, they can seek out a movie that has hope. And so ultimately, my movie's going to come out because the world needs hope. And the nonprofits that I'm involved in are a People of Purpose, which I started with an inmate that I worked when I went to speak in his prison. He actually got out of prison and he reached out to me on social media and he said, the rate of recidivism in Palm Beach County is 97%. And he said, I need you to help me change that. And so we started a nonprofit 5 years ago together. And now we have this incredible board of directors, including not my, I am on the board, but I'm not including myself. He does all the work and so do these other people. But so that's the one again, what I said earlier was whatever keeps you up at night, you should work on that. Prisoners kept me up all night. I wanted to go in prisons and give them hope too.
Wow.
So, and then I'm also on the board of another nonprofit called the Wonder Woman Initiative, and it's really a way to showcase incredible women in around the world who are doing amazing things. I was actually chosen as one of their recipients a few years ago, and then they asked me to be on the board.
Oh,
And then
wonderful. Oh my gosh, God is working in your life, dear.
and then I'm also on a fashion board out of New York, which is basically fashion and fashion meets mental health, and so we're trying to help people in that both of those spaces. So
I love that. That
yeah.
can how can people look up your nonprofit? Is it on your website?
Yes, so my website is under construction, but it's still out there. It's just doing some changes. It's updating with the film. But yes, all my nonprofit work is out there, is out on my website. And I think if you put me in Google, some of that stuff will come out, come up.
Yeah, I did. So I actually um, looked over your website. It's beautiful. So I
Well, it needs to be
I wouldn't have known that it's under construction.
well, you don't know it, but I'm telling you because a lot of my modeling stuff's not on there. I'm taking out all of the press, like all of the interviews, like NBC, Fox, all of that's coming off. You don't need it on I don't want it on my website anymore. I don't need it. I want my modeling, I want my book, I want the movie, I want my nonprofits. That's it. I don't need all the interviews I've done because not that I'm, you know what? I take it back. We should be showcasing what we do because we should be our biggest advocates. If we're doing good in the world, we should be more proud of that than anybody. And I totally believe that. But I think that the
Absolutely.
purpose of my website is not it's not a trophy. It's just a landing page where if people want to know more about me, this is what I do. That doesn't necessarily they don't need to see that I was on Fox News or CBS, all those things. That's not what's important.
That's just amazing, Christine. I just appreciate it and appreciate you writing this beautiful book that brought it to my heart. And so I know I purchased mine on Amazon, but I'm sure that if women want to purchase this, they can go to your website, or I know that you can get on a Kindle.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty much sold everywhere. I think even at Target. So it's out there for sure. My publisher is very happy.
Okay. That is always a good thing.
Right. Well, especially because it was published in 2017. It's not a new book. It's still going.
Yeah, I that's just amazing. I had no idea it was back in 2017.
Yeah, that's when I published it. Or that's when it was published. Yeah.
We need to get this out. This is just amazing. So,
And interestingly enough, there was somebody that was walking in Milan Fashion Week this past season, and she has a scar on her face. And they said, how did you get the confidence to model? She's beautiful, young. And she said, there is a woman in the United States named Christine Handy And she was the one that inspired me. You have no idea who you're inspiring. You know,
That's so
and
amazing.
every single one of us has a voice. Even if we have just a whisper, you still have a voice. And then the next day it might be a bigger whisper and on and on and on. Use your voice. You have one to use it. We are a gift to the world. We should help other people. That is a privilege that all of us have. We can focus on that or we can focus on what we get. It's so much more joy by giving out.
Wow, Christine, thank you for the inspiring words. I feel like I've had a feast today, and that the upliftment and the light that has come from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I just feel very honored and to have you today.
Well, again, storytelling is unifying. So we're here to unify.
Absolutely. Well, I just appreciate your advocacy efforts, your kindness and love, and for sharing your personal story with us, giving us words of hope. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
And thank you to those who are joining us on this podcast. Always remember there's hope for healing. Christine, God bless.